The champagne glass slipped from his hand the exact moment she said it. "Daniel, you can't seriously think I'm staying with you." Her voice wasn't quiet. It wasn't private. It wasn't even kind. It cut clean through the music, through the laughter, through the soft clinking of glasses in that luxury rooftop party right in front of everyone. And then she laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not a sad one. A cruel one. The kind that turns heads. The kind that makes people stare. The kind that makes a man feel smaller than he's ever felt in his life. Daniel didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't even blink. He just stood there in his plain black suit, slightly worn at the cuffs, while his wife, Vanessa Carter, adjusted her diamond bracelet and looked at him like he was something she had already thrown away. "Look around you," she said, spreading her hand toward the crowd. "These people built something. They are something. And you—" She paused, tilting her head. "You're still dreaming." A few people chuckled. Someone whispered. Phones subtly tilted. Because moments like this, people don't forget them. Vanessa stepped closer, lowering her voice just enough to sound intimate, but still loud enough for those nearby to hear every word. "I gave you years, Daniel, years, and what do I have to show for it?" Her eyes dropped to his shoes. "This?" Another laugh. This time louder. Behind her stood Marcus Ellington. Tall, sharp suit, gold watch catching the light. The kind of man people moved around without being asked. The kind of man security nodded to. The kind of man Vanessa had been standing a little too close to all evening. Marcus smirked, sliding a hand casually into his pocket. "You can't blame her, man," he said, voice smooth, confident. "Some people are meant to build, others just watch." More laughter. Daniel finally looked up. Not at Marcus, not at the crowd, at Vanessa. Really looked at her. Like he was memorizing something, and for just a second, something in his expression didn't match the moment. There was no panic, no anger, no desperation. Just calm, too calm. But Vanessa didn't notice, or maybe she didn't care, because she had already turned away, already slipping her arm around. Marcus liked the decision had been made long before tonight. "I'm done," she said over her shoulder. "I'm not wasting another year pretending you're going somewhere." The words landed harder than anything before. Done. Just like that. Years reduced to a sentence. The crowd shifted, feeding off the tension, the discomfort, the spectacle. Daniel bent down slowly, picking up the broken glass from the floor. Carefully. Quietly. Like a man who had been here before. Like a man who understood something no one else in that room did. A waiter rushed over. "Sir, I can take that." "I've got it," Daniel said softly. His voice was steady, controlled, almost polite, which made it worse. Because it didn't fit the scene, didn't fit the humiliation, didn't fit the man everyone thought he was. Marcus leaned in toward Vanessa, just loud enough again. "See what I mean?" He murmured. "No fight, no fire." Vanessa smiled. "That's exactly the problem." Daniel straightened up, placing the glass on a nearby tray. Then, without another word, he walked away. No shouting, no begging, no scene. Just walked out. And somehow, that felt colder than anything he could have said. Outside, the city lights stretched endlessly below the rooftop. Daniel stepped into the night air, adjusting his jacket like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just been humiliated in front of hundreds of people. Like he hadn't just lost everything. A black SUV idled quietly at the curb. The driver stepped out the moment he saw him. "Good evening, Mr. Cole." Daniel gave a small nod. "Evening, James." The driver opened the door. But before getting in, Daniel paused. He glanced back up at the rooftop, at the glass walls glowing with light, at the silhouettes moving inside, at her. Even from a distance, he could see Vanessa laughing, free, relieved, like she had finally escaped something. Daniel's expression didn't change, but his voice when he spoke next carried something different. "Give them a few days," he said calmly. James didn't ask questions. He never did. "Yes, sir." Daniel stepped into the SUV. The door closed softly behind him, and as the car pulled away into the night, the only thing left behind was the echo of laughter, and the beginning of a mistake Vanessa Carter hadn't realized she'd just made. For 3 days, Vanessa felt free. She woke up in Marcus Ellington's glass penthouse overlooking downtown Atlanta, wrapped in silk sheets, drinking coffee from cups so expensive she was afraid to drop them. Marcus had everything Daniel never showed her: a private elevator, a rooftop pool, a closet full of designer suits, a phone that never stopped ringing. And people treated him like royalty. When he entered a room, hands reached out. When he spoke, people leaned in. When he laughed, others laughed harder. Vanessa loved that feeling. She loved walking beside a man who looked powerful. She loved being seen, because for years she had felt embarrassed standing next to Daniel. Daniel was kind, yes. Patient, yes. But quiet. Too quiet. He never explained where he went late at night. Never bragged about his work. Never dressed flashy. Never tried to prove anything. And Vanessa had mistaken that silence for failure. Now, with Marcus, everything was loud, expensive, visible, perfect. At least, at first. On the fourth morning, Marcus came into the kitchen, with his jaw tight and his phone pressed against his ear. "What do you mean the account is frozen?" he snapped. Vanessa looked up from her coffee. Marcus saw her watching and instantly lowered his voice. "No, fix it today." He ended the call and forced a smile. "Business problem?" Vanessa asked. "Nothing serious," Marcus said quickly. "Just banks being banks." But his hand was shaking when he picked up his espresso. That was the first clue. The second came that afternoon. Vanessa was shopping inside a luxury boutique, choosing a cream dress for an investor dinner. Marcus had promised would change everything. The saleswoman smiled politely and ran Marcus's black card. Then her smile faded. She tried again. And again. "I'm sorry," the woman said carefully. "This card isn't going through." Vanessa froze. Marcus stepped forward, embarrassed. "Run it again." "I already did, sir." The boutique became too quiet. A woman nearby glanced over. Vanessa felt heat rise in her cheeks. Marcus pulled out another card. Declined, then another. Declined. Finally, he paid with a smaller card Vanessa had never seen before, his face dark with humiliation. Outside, he laughed it off. "Security block," he said. "Happens when you spend big." But Vanessa noticed something. He didn't look angry like a rich man inconvenienced. He looked scared like a man running out of options. That night, they arrived at the investor dinner. The venue was beautiful. Marble floors, gold lighting, soft jazz in the background. Marcus walked in with his usual confidence. But something strange happened. The people who usually rushed to greet him didn't. A few nodded politely. Some avoided his eyes. One man even turned his back when Marcus approached. Vanessa whispered, "Why is everyone acting weird?" Marcus tightened his grip around her waist. "Ignore them." Then the host walked on stage and tapped the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the private foundation that made this event possible." The screen behind him lit up. Vanessa expected to see Marcus's company logo. Instead, she saw 3 words: Cole Equity Group. Her smile faded. Cole. Daniel's last name? She stared at the screen, blinking. It had to be a coincidence. Cole was a common name. There were thousands of Coles, millions maybe. But then the host continued. This foundation has quietly funded over 40 Black-owned startups across the country, saved multiple community hospitals, and invested in housing projects from Atlanta to Chicago. Vanessa's stomach tightened. Quietly. That word followed Daniel everywhere. Quiet work, quiet calls, quiet meetings, quiet money? No, impossible. Marcus leaned close and whispered, "Don't react." Vanessa turned slowly toward him. "What is Cole Equity Group?" Marcus didn't answer. And that silence terrified her more than any answer could have. Then a waiter passed by with champagne, the same waiter from the rooftop party. He recognized Vanessa. His eyes flicked to Marcus. Then he looked away quickly. Too quickly, like he knew something. Like everyone knew something except her. That realization sat heavy in Vanessa's chest as the room continued like nothing had happened. Music played, glasses clinked, conversations flowed, but suddenly she felt outside of it all, like she had walked into a story halfway through and everyone else already knew the ending. "Marcus," she said quietly, her voice tighter now, "what is Cole Equity Group?" He exhaled slowly. Still no answer. "Marcus." He finally looked at her. Not confident, not smooth, just tired. It's nothing you need to worry about. That was the moment something broke. Because powerful men don't say that. Powerful men explain. They control the room. They don't avoid questions. Vanessa stepped back slightly. No, she said. I do need to worry about it. Because the entire room just reacted to that name like it matters. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. Vanessa, is it connected to Daniel? Silence. That was enough. Her heart dropped. No, she whispered. No, that's not possible. Marcus looked away, and in that second, everything she thought she knew began to unravel. Say something, she demanded. Marcus lowered his voice. You need to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down, she snapped, louder than she meant to. A few heads turned. She didn't care. Is Daniel connected to that company? Marcus hesitated. And then, yes. The word hit like a physical blow. Vanessa stepped back. He works there? She asked, trying to make it make sense. Marcus didn't respond. He works there, right? She repeated, almost pleading now. Marcus's jaw tightened. No. The room seemed to shrink. The air felt thinner. Vanessa shook her head. No. No. You're lying. Daniel couldn't even. He doesn't even. He's not. She's right. A voice cut through the tension. Calm, controlled, familiar. Vanessa froze. Slowly, she turned. And there he was, Daniel, standing just a few steps away, same black suit, same quiet presence, but something was different now. Subtle, almost invisible, but undeniable. The room had shifted toward him. Not dramatically, not obviously, but people were watching, waiting, respectfully. The kind of attention Marcus used to command, now pulled toward Daniel without effort. Vanessa's voice barely came out. Daniel, what are you doing here? He looked at her. Not angry, not bitter, just composed. I was invited, he said. Marcus stiffened beside her. Daniel's eyes moved briefly to him. And for the first time since Vanessa had met Marcus, Marcus looked small. You didn't tell her? Daniel asked calmly. Marcus didn't answer. Vanessa looked between them. Tell me what? Daniel took a step closer. Not aggressive, not rushed. Just steady. You said I wasn't going anywhere, he said softly. Each word precise, measured. You said I had nothing to show for all those years. Vanessa's chest tightened. This isn't, Daniel, this is not what it looks like. He tilted his head slightly. No. Then he reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out his phone, tapped once, twice. The large screen behind the stage flickered. The host froze. Confused? Sir, we're about to... It's all right, Daniel said. And somehow, that was enough. The host stepped back. The room went quiet, completely quiet. Then audio filled the space. Clear, undeniable. Vanessa's voice. Laughing. Sharp, cruel. Look at you, Daniel. You're still dreaming. Her own words echoed through the hall. Every head turned toward her. Her stomach dropped instantly. No, she whispered. The recording continued. You have nothing to show for it. Another laugh. Another stab. Vanessa's knees felt weak. Daniel, please. But he didn't stop it. Marcus stepped forward. Turn that off. Daniel didn't even look at him. The audio ended. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Then Daniel finally spoke. Calm. Cold. I've been building something for 10 years, he said. He looked at Vanessa. I just didn't need an audience. Her eyes filled instantly. Daniel, I didn't know. No, he said quietly. You didn't. And that was worse than anger, because it was truth. The screen behind them lit up again. Documents, contracts, properties, numbers climbing higher and higher. Millions, hundreds of millions. Then, 10,000 pla. Gasps spread through the room. Vanessa stared at the screen, her mind refusing to process it. This isn't real. Daniel finally turned slightly, addressing the room. Cole Equity Group, he said, owns controlling interest in 14 companies currently present in this building. A ripple went through the crowd. People straightened, adjusted, listened. Including, he paused, glancing briefly at Marcus, Ellington Holdings. Marcus went pale. Vanessa turned sharply toward him. No. Marcus didn't speak, didn't move, because there was nothing left to say. Daniel looked back at Vanessa, and for the first time, there was something in his eyes. Not anger, not revenge, something deeper. Disappointment. I wasn't invisible, he said quietly. You just never looked. The words shattered her. Tears streamed down her face. Daniel, please. I made a mistake. He studied her for a moment. Really studied her. Like he had that night on the rooftop. But this time, he wasn't memorizing her. He was letting her go. The room remained silent, waiting because everyone knew this wasn't over. Not yet. The silence didn't break. It tightened, wrapped around the room like pressure before a storm. Vanessa's breath came uneven, her chest rising and falling as if the air itself had turned against her. Daniel, please, she whispered again, softer this time, like saying it gently could undo everything. But Daniel didn't move toward her. He didn't reach for her. He didn't even look at her the way he used to. That softness, that patience, that quiet love she had once taken for weakness. It was gone, not replaced with anger, not replaced with cruelty. Just gone, and that absence hurt more than anything else. Marcus tried to recover first. He straightened his jacket, forced a laugh that didn't belong in the room anymore. All right, he said, clapping his hands once like he could reset the moment. Impressive presentation, really, but let's not pretend. Don't! Daniel's voice cut through him. Not loud, not aggressive, just final. Marcus froze mid-sentence, because something in that single word made it clear. This wasn't a conversation. It was a conclusion. Daniel stepped forward slightly, his presence now undeniable. You built your reputation on leverage, he said calmly. Debt dressed as success. Risk disguised as confidence. Marcus's jaw tightened. You don't know what you're talking about. Daniel's gaze didn't shift. I know exactly what I'm talking about, he replied. Then, almost casually, he nodded once toward the back of the room. A man in a navy suit stepped forward, legal briefcase in hand, expression unreadable. He handed Marcus a thin folder. The kind that doesn't look heavy, but changes everything. Marcus opened it. At first, his face stayed controlled. Then it changed. Quickly, too quickly to hide. What is this? He asked, voice lower now. A formal notice, Daniel said. Effective immediately. Cole Equity Group is calling in all outstanding obligations. Tied to Ellington Holdings, Vanessa didn't fully understand the words. But she understood the effect. Marcus's hands tightened around the paper. That's not possible, he said. Those agreements were contingent on performance, Daniel finished. Which you haven't met. A murmur spread across the room. People were no longer watching for drama. They were watching for survival. Daniel, Marcus said, stepping closer now, dropping the arrogance entirely, we can talk about this privately. Daniel shook his head slightly. You preferred things public earlier, he said. Let's stay consistent. That hit harder than anything else, because it wasn't revenge. It was accountability. Vanessa looked between them, her world collapsing piece by piece. Marcus, what is he talking about? She asked, voice shaking. Marcus didn't answer, because there was nothing left to protect. Daniel turned back to her, not cold, not cruel, but honest, in a way that left no room for comfort. He leveraged everything he had to look powerful, Daniel said. Properties, liquidity, even tonight's event. Vanessa's heart pounded. Tonight's event? Daniel glanced around the room. I funded it. The words echoed. Simple. Absolute. The same room that had laughed at him days ago was standing on his money. Vanessa covered her mouth, tears spilling freely now. No, that can't be. But deep down, she knew. She thought back. The quiet nights, the unexplained calls, the calm confidence she had mistaken for emptiness. The way he never defended himself. Because he never needed to. Daniel stepped closer, just enough for her to hear him clearly. I wasn't hiding, he said softly. I was building. Her voice broke. Why didn't you tell me? A long pause. Then, because I wanted someone who saw me before all of this. That was the moment she truly understood. Not the money, not the power, not the control, but what she had lost. And why. Vanessa reached for him instinctively. Daniel, please. We can fix this. I didn't know. I thought— I know what you thought, he said gently. And that gentleness was the final door closing, because it meant he had already accepted it, already moved past it, already chosen. Behind them, Marcus's phone buzzed violently. Once, twice, again. He answered, listened, said nothing, then slowly lowered the phone. His entire posture had changed. Gone was the confidence. Gone was the control. What happened? Vanessa asked faintly. Marcus didn't look at her. They're pulling out, he said quietly. All of them. Investors, partners, support, everything that made him look powerful. Disappearing in real time, the room began to shift. People stepping away, distance forming, because power had changed hands. And everyone could feel it. Vanessa looked back at Daniel one last time. Desperate, broken. Please, she whispered. But this time, he didn't answer. He just held her gaze for a moment, then gave a small, respectful nod. Not as her husband, not as her past, but as someone who had once loved her and no longer needed to. Then he turned and walked away, the same way he had that night. Quiet, composed, unstoppable. Outside, the night air felt different now. Cleaner, lighter. The same black SUV waited at the curb. James opened the door. Everything taken care of, sir? Daniel paused briefly, looked back at the building, at the lights, at the life he had just closed, then nodded. Yes. He stepped into the car. The door shut softly, and as the city lights blurred past the window, Daniel leaned back, eyes calm. Not victorious, not emotional, just certain, because some people need applause to feel powerful, and others never needed it at all.